I forgot my sunglasses. Thanks to our talk. Thank you to the BSidesCharm committee. Thanks to all the sponsors. Sponsors are great. And thank you to all the people who are here to listen to this talk. I hope this is, I hope you leave happier than when you got here, and I hope it's not because you're leaving our talk that you're happy. But this is, you can't migrate what you can't see. We're talking about post-quantum cryptography. By way of introduction, very briefly, I'm Joe Wilson. I'm a long-time academic who worked at the University of Florida for more years than I want to admit. I've worked in machine learning, cybersecurity, programming languages, all kinds of stuff. I could never find the thing that I was really interested in, and now we're looking at post-quantum cryptography. And
yeah, so I'm Anurag. I have a PhD in computer science, and I'm the co-founder and CTO of Qubit AC.
Yeah, and I am the CEO and president of Qubit AC, and we're here to talk to you about a number of things. Now, before I get started, how many people here like to raise their hands when speakers ask ridiculous questions on stage? And yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah, well, I'm not going to do that. I know that there are plenty of people here who are experts in quantum computing. There are probably people from APL and the Maryland Procurement Office and other places who know a lot more about this than I do, actually. I'm not an expert in quantum mechanics or even really in quantum cryptography, but we're going to tell you about this problem, about the origins of it, about the mechanisms to address the problem, and how you can help solve this problem for yourself and perhaps your organization or whoever else you might be working with. And so what is it we're protecting, and why, and who are we protecting it from? Cryptography is essential to everything we're doing on the internet nowadays. If it hadn't been for RSA and that algorithm, we would not be doing business on the internet today safely. But the primary things that you're really looking at, there's the security triad or the hexad, whatever you want to talk about. But there are three things that cryptography really buys you. One is that if you want confidentiality, then you can communicate messages securely on the internet with, if you're doing cryptography right, relatively securely on the internet without having those messages intercepted. The second thing is you'll have integrity of your messages because there are digital signature algorithms that use cryptography that guarantee that the message you send is the one that you're saying you sent. And the other thing is authentication. You don't want people to be able to pretend that they're you so that they can do whatever it is that you could do on their own behalf rather than yours, right? So cryptography is nearly ubiquitous. And you'll find, for example, it's in every website you get to pretty much nowadays if you're doing it right, via HTTPS and TLS. You'll find this in SSH and RDP if you're doing it right as well. Every server you log into, you're gonna have cryptographic information transmitted, your commands, the results of those commands, and so forth. Also, every private message that you send, whether it's over Signal or some other mechanism, if you're doing it right, those are encrypted with some mechanism that provides security that people cannot listen from end to end. And the attacker wants to break all three of these things, or some attackers want to break one or two or all three of these things. And so cryptography isn't some feature that you turn on and off. It's absolutely essential to everything you're doing.
All right, so before I start, any cryptographers here? No, okay, so great. Let's start with the basic then. In cryptography, basically, cryptography is based on three math hard problems. The first one is RSA. Is basically, you take two giant prime numbers, you multiply, you get a product, but then if I want to find those two prime numbers, it's hard, right? That's your RSA. The second and third is based on discrete logarithm problems. The first one is the curve. What happens is, like, if Alice and Bob wants to do the secret exchange in this curve, what happens is you ask, Alice is going to ask his system that, hey, generate me a number. And on the curve, there's already a standard G. You take those many number of hops on the curve, and you will end up getting a public key. And you share that public key with Bob. Bob is going to do the same thing. Bob is going to end up with a public key. They exchange. And then, in the end, Alice is going to take the Bob's public key, multiply with what it has, and they both will end up having the same secret exchange, right? That's your elliptic curve. The third one is Diffie-Hellman. Kind of same concept. The only difference here is the maths. In this one, the Alice and Bob first is going to agree on something called generator and a prime number. Once they do that, what Alice is going to do is, Alice is going to have a secret key. It's going to take the generator, multiply that number of times, take a mod of that P, and will end up getting some number. Same thing Bob is going to do. They share the product, and in the end, same concept. Alice will take the product, take the secret number, multiply that number of times, take the mod, and they will end up getting the same secret. So this is the basic of cryptography. And the fourth one is AES. With AES, it's basically the computation is hard, and the hardness depends on the key size. As you go bigger on the key size, you get more security. So again, the first three is basically to do the first exchange, and when they do the handshake, then it gets converted to AES.
And all that's great, but the issue is that we now have these wonderful quantum computers that are being built, and let's talk about those for just a minute before we get to the meat of this issue, right? So quantum computers are really born out of quantum physics. This is the typical computer you use, uses classical physics. It uses electronic components and electrical engineering devices. Quantum computers don't do that. There are 5 or 6 different techniques that they employ, but these all employ physics properties at extremely small scale. And Richard Feynman in '81 gave a talk. In '82 it was published. He introduced this idea of quantum computers. He said, if, you know, these systems that we want to talk about, these chemical systems, these physical systems, they're so huge you can't compute the simulations of them on a classical computer. You need something better. We really need a quantum computer to do this. So he posited this idea of having quantum computers. And so the issue here is that, Peter Shor, when the cryptography problem wasn't thought of in 1982 in terms of quantum computing, but Peter Shor in '94 developed this cute little algorithm to factor numbers really quickly. And this is at the core of interdicting or getting underneath RSA and other methods, because if you can factor numbers very quickly, if you can factor numbers in polynomial time as opposed to exponential time, take that n out of the exponent and put it down in the factors, then you can break these codes in days rather than in years with the appropriate size computer, right? Right, so what are quantum computers good at? One thing, they're good at factoring large numbers. That's Shor's algorithm. Another thing, the discrete logarithm problem. This gets in the way of ECC, elliptic curve cryptography, and the Diffie-Hellman exchange. Also, unstructured search, which is implemented with a technique known as Grover's algorithm, that reduces the security of AES, but not as dramatically as the reductions in security of RSA and elliptic curves. There are other things you can do with quantum computers that don't really have anything to do with security today, at least. Right? So quantum computers are also not a lot of things. They're not some kind of faster laptop that you're going to have. They're not good at general purpose computing speed up. They're not going to implement an operating system. They're not some kind of magic. But so it's not a replacement for a classical computer. But what it's going to do is it's going to make cryptography extremely difficult if you use these older algorithms, ancient algorithms from just, the last 20 years.
All right, so whenever you're going to talk to anybody who's going to talk about quantum computers, you will hear the word qubit. So how in classical we have this bits, in quantum we have qubit. So the main thing you have to understand here is, like, we all know about bit, right? It's zeros and ones. It's just like a bunch of numbers flipping all together, whether it's email or anything else. But with classical thing, it's only going to be either zeros and ones at a time. But qubit, it can be both. So it's more like you toss a coin in the air, it can be heads and tails until you measure it. And you will see in the next slide when I say what I mean by measure, but understand this, that it can have both the state at the same time unless you go and try to find the answer. So that is your qubit for you. And then why does it matter? So if you take 3 bits, you will have 8 values, but you can have only 1 value at a time. With qubit, you can have all 8 values together. And like I said, once you go there and measure, you will get 1. But that's bit and classic bit and qubit for you.
Right, so there are really 3 properties about quantum physics or quantum computing and quantum algorithms that make this powerful in terms of being able to carry out the computations that will break these codes. Right? One is the superposition that Anna just talked about. You can think of this as both states being held simultaneously with different probabilities. The probability issue is what led Einstein to say, oh, God doesn't play dice with the universe, and argue that quantum physics couldn't be right. And Niels Bohr said, you know, stop telling God what to do, and quantum physics really is right. So, you know, that it's this superposition allows states to be more general than the state of a bit in a typical computer. It's not really that it's a completely different kind of computing. It is that classical computing is a special case of quantum computing. So it generalizes what we have to this extremely powerful approach. The second thing is entanglement. This is where essentially 2 qubits can be entangled so that measuring one of them, when these superposition states are measured, they collapse to an actual value, bit 0 or 1. Measuring one qubit of an entangled pair will determine the value of another. This entanglement allows this, what Einstein called spooky action at a distance. And you know, maybe it's not going to get you faster than light speed communication, but it does let you define algorithms that are extremely powerful. And the third property, and this is not a property of quantum physics, but it's a property of the algorithms, like Shor's algorithm, is this idea of interference. The Shor's algorithm, we'll talk about this in a moment. The analog here, or the analogy, is to noise-canceling headphones, where a sound will come in, it's a sound wave, and I will get the opposite wave to cancel out that sound wave so I don't hear that noise, right? The same kind of thing happens in these algorithms, where correct answers will multiply together their essentially their wave states, and incorrect answers or possibilities will cancel those out. So these 3 properties of superposition, and sorry to hold the mic out into the air, of superposition and entanglement and interference work together to make quantum computers extremely, quantum algorithms extremely powerful.
All right, so now, these are the numbers. The main question is like, how far are we from this, the attack we're going to talk about? What is this present status? So right now, there is 2 companies, IBM and Google, leading this space. Here, if you see the numbers, Google in 2019 said they have 53 qubits. And when I say all these numbers right now, understand these are physical qubits. In quantum, you will hear a lot of people talking about, hey, I have 53 qubits, or I have 1 logical qubit. So the difference is, like, when you put together all these physical qubits, bunch of cluster physical qubits together, then you say it as how many logical qubits I have. So these are physical qubits, what I'm going to talk about right now. So Google started in 2019, I have 53 qubits, IBM 127, 183, 156. The thing you need to understand here is, Google in 2024, even though their number of qubits are less compared to IBM, which is 105, they were able to prove and they were able to achieve something called fault tolerant. And what I mean by fault tolerant is, these physical qubits are inherently, are susceptible, are basically cannot handle the distraction from outside. So when somebody said that, oh, it's fault tolerant, that means they're able to correct that errors and still able to give you a better answer, a better result when you go and measure it. So they're able to basically avoid the error, at the same time correct it. So that's what it means by fault tolerant. So these 2 companies have whole different strategy. Google is saying, I'm going to have less qubit on a board, but then I want to make sure these are fault tolerant. IBM is like, you know what, I'm just going to keep having more qubits. I want to see how many qubits I have can fit on a one board, and we have all these codes, and then we will apply the error code later. So more physical qubit doesn't mean that they're doing a better job, but less also doesn't mean that they're doing a better job. They just have a different strategy of doing this. So yeah, now coming back to the point, in 2012, it was like, oh, we need 1 billion qubits to break RSA, and then 2019, it's 20 million and 8 hours of computation. In 2025, it's now 1 million and 1 week of computation. What you need to understand is, it's 13 years, and in that 13 years, we went from 1 billion to 1 million. That's how we are moving fast. And now, earlier, if you would have talked to somebody last year, they would have said, oh, you know what, it's going to come in 2035 or 2030, but Google's new estimate is 2029. So as we make progress, we are getting there.
Also, I'd point out that some of you may have heard about the result from Project 11, Giancarlo Lelli, the algorithm that was shown. Essentially, in last September, IBM was able to break a 6-bit elliptical curve cryptographic scheme. Yesterday, it was announced that a 15-bit EC cryptography method was broken. That's a more than doubling in the last 7 months. And if you expand that out, although Google has said that Q-Day, when these curves intersect, of how many qubits do you need to break RSA 2048, and what the number of qubits are available in the machine, although Google said this will probably happen in 2029, if you do the math, it looks like maybe that could happen for elliptical curves in 2028. So that means Diffie-Hellman is no longer any good in 2028. I'm not trying to stoke fear, but I'm just saying that as the algorithms get better and the machines get better, Q-Day gets closer and closer. So why are these algorithms breaking today's cryptography in the first place? Okay, so and this is very brief, and I'm not going to get into details. You know, I knew about Shor's algorithm really detailed a while back, and it's like, yeah, I kind of get it. Anyway, so the techniques that's used by Shor's algorithm uses quantum Fourier transforms on modular factors that essentially employs a property that if you collect together all these modular factors, then these waves that are representative of the Fourier transform will interfere in values that do not correspond to, in places that do not correspond to the factors, and will reinforce themselves to correspond with the factors. So that's what gets at the RSA factoring problem is solved by that approach. The elliptical curve and ECDSA, the digital signature algorithm, they employ they employ another method that is also broken by Shor's algorithm. Diffie-Hellman, on the other hand, also uses the elliptical curves and is broken by Shor's algorithm. If you look at Grover's algorithm is this unstructured search problem that does attack AES, effectively reducing the amount of time to do this, to be able to solve or to be able to break an AES key by essentially the square root of the key size, which means that effectively if you are currently using AES 128 and feel that that's secure, you probably ought to use AES 256. So it effectively reduces the key size by half. This asymmetry between Shor's algorithm and Grover's algorithm is this. Shor's algorithm breaks the underlying mathematics. Grover's algorithm just makes the math a little bit easier. So Shor's algorithm gives a dramatic increase. Grover's algorithm is just an incrementally increase. Okay?
All right, so now here's the point. Why are we talking about this? We're talking about this because there is something called harvest now, decrypt later attack. Okay, so it's HNDL. And this is all about like, right now we all think, oh yeah, I'm talking to Bob and everything is encrypted, nobody is listening. But if I'm collecting all this encrypted traffic right now, and the whole point is like when the quantum computers are going to come, I can break those keys and it will be all converted into plain text. So everything what we think right now is like us all encrypted, nobody is listening or can see it. Trust me, 2029, people can do it. So this is the attack that everybody's concerned about, any company you talk to, why? So the second question is like, what are the companies should be concerned about? Any companies that has to keep their record, say for 10, 15 years, like hospitals, banks, government agencies, they want to keep all this encrypted thing not being stolen, and at the same time not being decrypted. So they should be more concerned. It's not you and me doing Instagram. It's more like, hey, I want to keep this record safe. So second thing is like, people think that, oh, it's right now it's happening, but maybe it has been happening from years. If you see at the real incidents, in 2016, Canadian internet traffic to South Korea rerouted to China. We don't know what they were doing. Did they actually collect the data or not? In 2019, same thing. European cell phone traffic intercepted in similar rerouting incident. So these things has been happening for years. But now it's a concern. So now, as per the industry survey, 75% people, they're concerned, they acknowledge, and 23% have a strategy. But in terms of the traffic, in terms of can we actually save ourselves from harvest now, decrypt later attack, only 3% actually uses PQC in early 2024, and now it's 38% by March 2025 because companies like Cloudflare, they are coming to the picture, they are in Google, they're coming to the picture, and they're rolling out these hybrid encryption.
Right, so we know that RSA is going to be a problem. We know that Diffie-Hellman exchange is going to be a problem. Well, all hope is lost, right? Well, not all hope is lost. NIST has been working on this problem for quite a while. And there's been a long process of candidate algorithms that has centered on three primary algorithms that NIST is proposing and is requiring that the government is requiring in various places for federal agencies. That is MLKEM, which is FIPS 203, which is the modules lattice key encapsulation method. This is effectively as a drop-in replacement for RSA. It does what RSA does for us today. And the second of these is MLDSA, which is the modules lattice. And the modules lattice approach, by the way, it depends on a method that is not broken currently and is not expected to be broken soon by quantum computers. MLDSA is used as a digital signature algorithm, so that gives you so the first gives you effectively the confidentiality, and this gives you the integrity, and the first also gives you authentication security. And FIPS 205 is SLHDSA, which is an alternative hashing approach for digital signatures that does not use the modules lattice, just in case the modules lattice approach is broken by new quantum algorithms that we haven't identified yet. And the idea here is that one would use SLHDSA for things that need to be extremely secure for an extremely long period of time, things like root certificates and other long-lived data that you want to be able to verify the nature of. Right? These methods are available today. They're implemented. There is also, if you get the most recent version of SSH, it uses the it uses an alternate method that is not MLKEM. But TLS 1.2 is essentially, it was outdated in 2018 by TLS 1.3 when that was released. It was effectively, should have been decommissioned, but you know, it takes a long time to decommission things. I guess it just takes a while. If you look at TLS 1.2, this legacy approach is being used a lot. TLS 1.3 by itself improves on TLS 1.2, but it doesn't provide post-quantum safe communication unless you're actually using the hybrid post-quantum cryptography approaches that are supported by TLS 1.3 and current versions of OpenSSL. So the elements that we're looking at are key exchange. The key exchange in TLS 1.2 is RSA 2048, and that's going to be completely dead. The key exchange in TLS 1.3 will be ACDI, and that's also not quantum safe. In TLS 1.3 with hybrid PQC, it uses X25519, which is an elliptic curve approach, and MLKEM 768, which is this modules lattice post-quantum approach. It uses both of these so that both have to be used in tandem to provide the communication. You have to break both classical and quantum cryptography to break that. For forward secrecy is essentially if somebody captures this message later, will they be able to find the key that was used for the message, right? If that key is stored, then forward secrecy is not provided. If that key is ephemeral and is not stored in the communication in any way, then that's better. TLS 1.3 uses ephemeral exchange and it gets rid of that problem. However, you can still attack that forward secrecy. It just takes longer. The TLS 1.3 with post-quantum, it's mandatory, and you're going to use, if you're using quantum safe cryptography, you're good. And by the way, we're sorry these are like eye charts. We have a QR code at the end, so you can get these slides. We want to have all the information available so you can use it for your purposes. The next thing, which ones are quantum safe? Really only TLS 1.3 with post-quantum cryptography. Which of these things provide HNDL security? TLS 1.2 does not. TLS 1.3 gets a little bit better with forward secrecy. TLS 1.3 with hybrid PQC. Is HNDL safe if both the client and server are using the post-quantum encryption mechanism? Of course, if you roll back to earlier versions, if your clients are using TLS 1.3, most people will downgrade and communicate. So you may have a server that provides the capability for post-quantum cryptography, but your clients aren't using it. This is an important issue, by the way. So in terms of round trip time on Handshake, it's better than it used to be. In terms of adoption, 99% of people can use TLS 1.2. 70% theoretically are on TLS 1.3. About 38% of sites have adopted post-quantum cryptography. However, our analysis of different sites that we've looked at varies. That's a reasonable number, perhaps a little high. And finally, what is the story in terms of what you should do with these? If you're using TLS 1.2, you should definitely migrate away from it. If you're using 1.3, you should definitely put post-quantum cryptography in there. You should use the hybrid PQC. And if you're already using what we recommend is the right thing to do, you're doing pretty well. So, this is already supported by Cloudflare, Chrome, Signal, Firefox, Edge, a bunch of people. Do it.
All right, so a lot of theory, right? So one thing I just want to add, what Joe was talking about is TLS, if you want to actually do the migration, you can do on TLS 1.2. 1.3 is the backbone. So you need to have TLS 1.3 to even do the migration. Okay, so now to do the migration, the very first thing you want to do is you want to figure out where exactly my cryptography is sitting in my enterprise. Okay, So the very first thing we're going to do is like, you give me a domain, I'm going to find all the subdomains your company has. And let me tell you this, this is all active scanning. There is nothing passive right now. So anyone from outside can do this, what we are doing here. So again, you give me a domain, I'm going to find all the subdomain, and then once you find this, of course, like some of them might not even respond, right? Because we are taking the outside database. So what we do is like we check whether these are active or not. Once they are active, for today's demo, we are just doing web servers. So we want to see whether they are running a web servers or not, and if they are running the web servers, are they doing HTTP or HTTPS? Once you do that, if you are running the HTTPS, you want to figure out what kind of ciphers, what kind of encryptions is being done between the client and the server. And then, of course, like you can do SSH. We're not demoing today, but you can still do it with this tool. Now, things to remember again, if you find TLS 1.2, you can't migrate. You have to first do TLS 1.3, and then only you can, because that's the backbone, right? So things this tool is going to tell you is that, hey, you're using TLS 1.2 with these ciphers, with these encryptions, and like, you know, if you're using RSA, what kind of size you're using, it will tell you things to replace, not to replace, and it will map it to the NIST, what NIST is asking you to do. So if you see X25519 plus MLK, that's where you want to be. But is that the reality? We'll talk about that. So once you install, like this tool can be installed on OS, Linux. We support all that stuff. All you gotta do is just run and all you need is domain name. That's it, that's all you need. And then it will do the job for you. Right now, like I said, if you want to do web, we cover like 4 or 5 different ports, the common ports, 80, 80, 80, 443, things like that. If you do SSH, we cover the common ones. And if you just want to check 443, which is HTTPS, you can do that. Now, like I said, this is how it's going to look like when you run. It will tell you how many subdomains you have found, how many are active, how many are running web services, and if it's HTTPS, how many are active and responding. And then in the end, it will generate a beautiful CBOM for you. So now I'm going to show you the demo. If you actually install and run it.
Well, Anurag brings that up. I want to mention a couple of things. One is this is a free open source tool. You can use this. There are people who will sell you, the right to have them run a tool like this on your system, but it's not magic. It's not secret sauce. It's there. The hard part is figuring out what to do after that's available. Is that not showing up? Because we got to stop the presentation. Yeah, we'll have to stop the slideshow. We got nothing now. Why are we seeing nothing? Very strange. We start the slideshow again, do we see something? We see that. And now we see nothing. Okay. Stop that. Our display is magically not duplicated. Can you open the browser and see? Duplicate.
Okay, great. All right, so yeah, like I said, I'm just going to run the script. I'm going to give my company's name. I'm going to do the web. What it does is like it's going to, if you don't have all these packages, it will ask you if you want to install. And if you say yes, it's going to install for you, so you don't have to worry about the packages. It's going to find the subdomain. Yeah, we only have 2 right now, which is www.qubit.com and thequbit.com. And then finally, it generates a CBOM.
And by the way, the cryptographic bill of materials, the CBOM, is a really important element of this entire process. It's much more than just a spreadsheet that identifies some things. It has information that attributes where the intelligence was taken from, exactly what represented the information that was characterized, and NIST identifies what kinds of information needs to go into that. So you can scan and do something else, but if you don't have a CBOM, you don't have all the information you need. And what this is doing is going back to our site to a dashboard that's available. If you use our dashboard, it uses resources on your local machine. We aren't able to grab the CBOMs that you use if you want to use this dashboard. You know, if you rip it off.
Here you see, like, you know, we found total of four endpoints, which is 2 HTTP, 2 HTTPS. It will tell you everything here, like, you know, what we found. It will give you the recommendation what it needs to be done if the port. Yes. I'm so sorry. Yeah. So all I'm just trying to explain here is, like, when you run this, when you come to the dashboard, it will tell you that if it's running HTTPS, if it's running HTTP, and if it's HTTP, is the port open or not? It is redirecting. You will see all that. So I go to HTTPS, I can see I'm using this cipher, I'm using this particular curve. You can see it will tell you, hey, it's vulnerable because I'm still using elliptical curve. Otherwise it says PQ safe. Here in HTTP, you can see that it's telling me that everything is being redirected, but the port is open. It's telling you about the certificates. Here that, oh, my certificates are fine, what curve I'm using. This tab basically tells you how much ready you are. Clearly, when we were recording this, we were not ready. It here just tells you if your key is PQC safe and if your cert is PQ safe or not. If not, we have this scoring system that will tell you how fast you should do it. As you keep migrating, these numbers will go up and tell you you have completed the process. Again, these things gives you much more detail about, like, hey, what are the warnings? Is your certificate misconfigured? Is the certificate expired? All these information, you need to understand certificate expired itself is a big problem. And when you run this, you will have all this information here. So
let's get this back up. It's going to take me a second to get to the right slide. Sorry about that.
yeah,
Right there.
Yeah.
Oh. Come on, back. Okay. I'm unable to
go home.
Sorry about that. Okay.
So yeah, so what we did was, like, now before coming here, we ran 50 public-facing companies headquartered in Maryland. So we wanted to know, like, how these companies are taking care of this quantum thing. What you see here is, like, we found 2,938 HTTP active endpoints. 85% of them is running TLS 1.3, which is good. 14.88 is still using TLS 1.2. And like I said, you can't do the migration unless you run TLS 1.3. Now, this is the important number. When I say that, out of these many endpoints, 43.5% is using hybrid, what I mean by here is, like, yes, companies have rolled out these things. But if a client is not running hybrid, this means nothing. It means 0%. Because if I downgrade myself and servers are letting you do it, clearly I'm still under attack. I can still do harvest now, decrypt later attack. But these numbers are important when both sides are using post-quantum cryptography thing. Then yeah, but this is what you see. And then we found out that 55 certificates were expired. These many were host mismatch. Now this is in terms of the industry of those 50 top companies. Clearly you can see that the ones we should care about is healthcare. Healthcare is only 32%. They are ready for this. Other thing is energy sector. There was only just one company. That's why it says 2 endpoints. But yeah, they have rolled out the post-quantum thing.
Yeah, one moment. All right. So how do you prioritize the things that you need to do if you want to take care of this problem? As Anurag said, the first thing is you want to get rid of HNDL exposure. You don't want people to be able to grab this stuff, so you want to look at your long-lived data. You want to be able to upgrade your external-facing communications so that you're using TLS 1.3. You want to migrate from TLS 1.2 to definitely to 1.3 with, no question with post-quantum cryptographic approaches, the X25519 and MLK-EM. And you want to re-encrypt data for future confidentiality as well. The second thing is you really want to fix the authentication chain as well. There are only a few organizations that are providing certificates that are encrypted using post-quantum or that use post-quantum encryption for the certificates and also for the digital signatures. So this is something that you can't take care of yourself unless you want to roll your own cert, but it's coming, right? And you want to upgrade all those code signing certificates. Clearly, you saw that there was a problem with expired certificates or host certificate mismatches. That happens. Life goes on, and taking care of that is obviously important as well. And then you want to fix the manageable risk and deal with upgrading AES to a more secure version if you're only using 128. There's no reason not to use AES 256. There's no reason not to do all of these things, except for all of the reasons that everybody has not to do all those things. Oh, the code's working fine now. The hackers are all in it now. Why should we upgrade anything, right? But that's not going to really work too well. So it's clear that hybrid cryptography is your safe incremental path. It's the right way to go. And cryptographic agility and design is something you want to try to design for change in your organization. If you're doing software development, that's a more complicated problem. If you're just trying to provide services and communicate securely, then the important thing is you design your use of technology in such a way that you don't break your entire business model when you have to upgrade whatever the mechanism of implementing TLS is. So 3 things you can do this week. One thing you can do is you can download our AC scanner, our ACDI scanner. That's free and open source. You can use it. Feel free. You can use our dashboard as well. Like I say, your data stays on your machine. It doesn't go to our machine when you use our dashboard. You can this week, if it's possible, you want to enable TLS 1.3 everywhere. I did talk to a person who said, my large insurance organization did not want to implement TLS 1.3 for quite a while because it was too secure. We couldn't man in the middle all the communications to make sure that nothing bad was going out. And I said, well, if you're finding it, then it's too late. So go ahead and do it. But there are impediments to wanting to do this on the parts of various corporations. They see risk in a different way, and I understand that. But if you want to do it right, you're going to enable TLS 1.3, and you're going to migrate to hybrid PQC. The final thing is you want to inventory your certificates, and you want to flag RSA key exchange. All of these things are great, but the important thing is you can migrate these things because you can see them, right? Now you can see it. You can do this if you use any ACDI tool. You can pay a lot for it, or you can use this free one. And the adversaries are harvesting traffic today. You don't need to move all of the internet traffic from Canada or America to do HNDL. You just need to be somewhere in the middle, maybe on somewhere in the middle, capturing the traffic that's passing anyway, exactly the way it's passing in those packets today. All the information is there for HNDL, right? The NIST FIPS 203, 204, 205, they're here, they work. It's great. Just do it, right? You want to inventory with ACID. Okay, it's ACDI, sorry. And so you can go to our website, find the AC scanner, and if you're a QR code lover, that will take you to a copy of this talk. That's a PDF copy of this talk that is sitting in a file share directory on our website. Please don't hack us. It's all good. Okay.
So I just want to add one more thing. What now we are doing is, like I said, we are only supporting web services and SSH, but we are constantly working on this tool, and the goal is to add more like email stuff. So if you subscribe to us, we will let you know that, hey, we have added this, and you can do more inventory. So, and the good part is, like, it's all open source. Everything stays in your computer. You're not giving data to anybody. So that's the good part. Yes.
Okay. What was that?
Is it something that you can have a part of your CI
Have as a part of your set. I cannot answer that question right now.
Yes.
You mentioned this a couple times in your presentation, and I was really curious if we take off our enterprise person hat and put on our privacy conscious individual hat. One of the concerns is, well, if we have a client that's not going to support hybrid cryptography, a lot of the mitigation strategies and migration, can you comment on how some strategies for platforms or tools and things?
Yeah.
Mom and dad or myself or someone who's browsing the web, like how can they help keep their own information private?
That's a really good question, and it's a hard question. Unfortunately, if you're not using a PQC method and it is dependent on public keys, there's just nothing you can do. If you're not, and I know that sounds like a terrible answer, right? But I don't know of any way to avoid that problem. If the public key is available, I'm going to be able to break it if it's RSA, right? If Diffie-Hellman exchange happens, I'm going to be able to capture, and it's using EC cryptography, I'm going to be able to capture the AES key that's used for the session key, and that will be broken as long as you don't provide forward secrecy, right? So if you're not at TLS 1.3, forward secrecy is hopeless. That's the thing that can be done easiest, and every system that you buy today and every system that's been made since 2018 can support TLS 1.3. So mom and dad can use TLS 1.3 even if they aren't using post-quantum hybrid encryption on TLS 1.3. I just don't know any way to do it with TLS 1.2.
And also, I just want to add one more thing. When we talk about forward secrecy, what we mean is, like, if you don't have forward secrecy enabled, that means that if I can decrypt that one particular, if I can figure out your public and private key, I can decrypt everything in the previous thing that you have done. With forward secrecy, it's just going to be that one particular session. So that's what TLS 1.3 is important. So, and that's one way to do it.
So yeah, I don't know if that really answered your question.
I could maybe rephrase it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to do though. Yeah.
Like from a client perspective, are there certain platforms or operating systems or way you can configure your client device to only support PQC and not support 1.2, 1.1?
Right. Now that is a question that I can't tell you. It's going to depend from platform to platform. All the platforms do right now. Every platform being released now does support TLS 1.3.
Yes.
And they all do support PQC for TLS if you're using the most recent Open SSL. So that's a little harder. It's easy to get TLS 1.3, and yeah, as to exactly how to disable 1.2 other than not making sure it's not installed, right? I don't. That's a good question. So thank you. Yeah, he's asking about CBOM compatibility.
I'm sorry, yeah. I think it is. It is.
So we have endeavored to ensure that it is. Okay, I don't know that there's a verification suite for that. I need to check that. So thank you for asking that question. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, you can identify that information. The CBOM that we produce right now does not reflect that information, but we were talking about that just yesterday, and it's like Yeah, we need to provide that
So
information.
the thing is, like, what you see right now.
By the way, that question was about reflecting downgrade opportunities in the CBOM
Right.
for services. Yeah.
And what you see right now in the dashboard is the exchange that's being done between the client and the server, right? That's why you see as just the TLS 1.3 a classical encryption. But if your client is ready, you will see the hybrid one. And now talking about, like, can you downgrade? Yes, you can downgrade. That's the answer.
Yeah.
And there is no way to.
And so the thing to do, and of course we're attempting to communicate with PQC hybrid because we want to make sure that's available, right? So we need to then what you would want to do is double check those hybrid connections to see what their lowest security exchange mechanism is. Yes.
You're talking about the server version? So for the HTTP, it is doing it. And technically, when it's doing for HTTP, you can do it for HTTPS as well. It's just on the dashboard, we are not showing it. For the HTTP, you can see that we have a column that says the version. So yes, that's one way to figure out, can I attack the system or not? Yes. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, can you explain to me how my data would be secure if I'm using your dashboard?
It's not leaving your data is not, your CBOM is not leaving your, oh wait.
So like when you are running the scanner, you're running on your computer, it generates the CBOM and stays on your computer. The dashboard is all about that, how can I see it in a more beautiful way? That's all. So
Right.
you come to the dashboard, you upload, and you see everything.
So you have JSON that's loading a file running on your machine.
Okay, so
We're not running that on our server.
Yeah.
We don't want to mine crypto for people on our server, right? You understand? Yeah, it's running on your local machine. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So wait, so first question, you're asking that, is the tool, again, sorry?
Yeah. So he's asking if it's the ACDI scans the entire code base.
We are not running the code, we are not doing the code base. We are just doing that when you're trying to connect to that particular server, what exchange is being done and what certificate is being provided by the server and what that certificate is using in terms of curve.
Yeah, this is essentially a tool that you could use. It connects to the service. It identifies from the service connection what the capabilities are. It doesn't look at the code base and know what the code is. Yes.
You showed us searching the DNS, but can it also do subnets?
It searches all subnets in the DNS that are publicly. You could target subnets. Yeah, you could target. You can write whatever host name you want.
Yes.
You know, use as many dots as you want. Right? Yes.
I have a question also to clarify. It does check for downgrade capabilities.
It does not check for downgrade capabilities today. And
But
we
then,
know
the
that's
thing is, like, when you downgrade from TLS 1.3 to 1.2, the header actually sends a sentinel saying that downgrade.
So
what we can do is, like, we can use that and put it in the dashboard, like, hey, if you're actually doing that, server is letting you know that, hey, I do support 1.3, but you're doing 1.3.
thank you. Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.